The Nonprofit Clinic seeks to enhance the organizational capacity of nonprofits here in our region, while also building the next generation of nonprofit leaders in our students. So it is a capstone course for our graduate students where they complete consulting projects for nonprofits. Nonprofits apply to the clinic with a project that suits their needs. That may be strategic communications, it may be overall strategic planning, development work, or even building a diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. Our students are graduate level students who complete these projects over the course of a semester with guidance from 2 adjunct faculty members who are leaders in the nonprofit sector here in Pittsburgh, as well as 3 coaches similarly working as leaders in the nonprofit sector. The clinic's been very successful in achieving both of its goals. Organizations often come back to us for more work, showing repeat customers are happy with our services. And many of our students have gone on to find employment in the organizations that they served, showing that we really are meeting that objective of building the next generation of leaders for our region. The Johnson Institute has been supporting the nonprofit clinic for over a decade. One of the best parts of my job is getting to meet so many amazing nonprofit leaders here in the community. Pittsburgh has a robust nonprofit sector just doing incredible work on a range of societal issues. Recently, we brought together some of those leaders to hear from them about what makes an effective university partnership, and I'm really eager to build on those recommendations in our future work.
I think the Nonprofit Clinic is such a useful experience both for the students and for the nonprofits, because thinking about it from the perspective of the nonprofit organizations who are getting services, they're really accessing not just the student teams that work directly with them, but 2 additional layers of support in the professional coaches that work alongside the students, and of course in the instructors who oversee the course and make sure that the students have the skills and training that they need to do a good job in their consulting projects. So I may be biased, but I think the nonprofits get a full professional level of nonprofit consulting support through the Nonprofit Clinic course. I would say there were 2 things that really surprised me about the students in the class. One was how prepared they were entering the semester. We didn't necessarily know what coursework each student had taken before they got to the Nonprofit Clinic. And so, we were covering things like research methods and logic models and evaluation tools, and 9 times out of 10, most students had some orientation to all of those topics before. So I really felt like they came fully prepared to provide professional consulting services to their clients, again, with just a bit of support from us. When we got the final deliverables, they rivaled anything that I'd seen coming out of real professional consulting firms. So that was a really happy surprise for me. I think one of GISPIA's greatest competitive advantages is that it provides hands-on, practical, tool-based training to our students. And so I think the Nonprofit Clinic is one of the best examples of that here at GISPIA. But on the receiving end, on the other stakeholder side, I think that the nonprofit sector really stands to gain professional consulting services and access to the next generation of talent in the nonprofit sector, and to really matchmake between those 2 sides of the industry, I think is one of the services that GISPIA provides to our community and to our student body.
The capstone is really a unique experience because it's really a project-based effort. Students are able to engage directly with nonprofits across the region to take what they've learned in theory and put into action to really help elevate the sector. One thing I really appreciated is their passion for the work, and it seems clear from day one that it felt like more than your average class, so that they were really interested in not really interested in the grade, but further interested in helping our community through their work. There's kind of this idea that they become the experts. One of the core ideas is that each student we'll do the research and become the experts, so that we as instructors are there to guide, but that they should really be the point. And they really took that to heart, and to me went the extra mile to have a meaningful relationship and have a really big impact at each organization. This capstone is so necessary and important because it is such a mutually beneficial environment where the students are able to learn through hands-on and direct service to nonprofits, and in turn those nonprofits are getting such necessary added capacity and resources from talented and passionate students at the University of Pittsburgh.
I always appreciate just how much the students bring to these organizations. Many of the nonprofits that apply for this course are very large and sophisticated, and sometimes very old organizations that have been doing this kind of service work in the community for many years. but the students bring a novel perspective, a new set of eyes, and a look at some of these challenges that they're working on in a way that always adds value. It seems like it really is transformative for the organizations that participate. But one of the things I was reflecting on is that many organizational leaders go into this process thinking that they know exactly what the deliverable is that they want. They define it in their application to the course. But then as the students really get in and kind of understand the nuances of the challenge, they realize that there's a whole host of other stakeholders involved, and there's a much more complex problem that those organizations are trying to solve. And I think as I've watched in all of the 3 organizations I worked on this year, that initial deliverable vision was transformed into something that was much more impactful for the organization, that the student teams were able to get in, understand the stakeholders within an organization, and transform that deliverable into a set of outcomes that were much more important for the organization long term.
From the very first assignment, which was to meet with the nonprofits, develop a scope of services, and then to execute a contract, to the very end where, I think in 3 months, they really learned how to do some great freelance, gig economy kind of work, and how to do project-based work in a way that you can enter an agreement with a nonprofit and you can exit and build capacity. So I think that the most incredible part of this experience was being able to see nonprofit professionals or like aspiring nonprofit professionals realize that the tools that Pitt gave to them throughout the GSBA program, that it has prepared them. So I think that the most impactful part of this for me was understanding how well prepared these students are coming out of this program to take charge and come into the world to help nonprofits, that they're already coming into fully cemented, time-tested, trusted, and approved nonprofits with a rich legacy that they're able to contribute into some pretty incredible projects.
So I am currently enrolled in, actually wrapping up my capstone class for GSBA, and I actually chose to do the nonprofit clinic. And one of the reasons I chose that class was because I wanted practical experience in working with a nonprofit, which I feel is something that GSBA built me up to doing so my first year here. As part of my capstone project, I was a consultant for Forward Allies, which is a nonprofit based in Pittsburgh that focuses on services for families that need reproductive help or reproductive mental health therapy. They approached us to create a fundraising plan and also a social media plan for their mental health fund. This class would be my top recommendation for any student that wants to work in nonprofit. I think GSBA does a great job preparing you theoretically throughout your career here, but you need to actually take a class that puts you in that scenario or in that kind of, I don't want to say they throw you into the fire, right? Because that's not the truth. They give you the preparation that you need to work with these nonprofits, but you start talking with them the first week. So I think it's important for GSBA students to get that practical experience, because when you're interviewing for jobs or making connections, I think it's important to have scenarios or stories about problems you worked through or successes you had. As a consultant for this class, I got to create something that was completely unique to me and personal to me. Not just that the nonprofit gets to use, but something that I can look back on and that is kind of eternal. It's kind of like my mark I left on GSBA, and that's the first class I really got that kind of experience with. So I hope future students who are especially looking for just making some kind of impact or leaving their mark, not just in this class, but in GSBA or even in the Pittsburgh region, get to do that.
Today, we are at the 412 Youth Zone, which is in downtown Pittsburgh. It's part of the Transition Age Youth Services umbrella of Auberly. And in 2016, when the 412 Youth Zone opened, we were a nonprofit clinic project. So one student worked on a marketing project to determine how young people might respond to marketing for the 412 Youth Zone, also how partners might respond, how funders might respond. And that was the initial basis for marketing at the 412 Youth Zone. And I think it really just goes to show, that GSBA had that initial impact in 2016, and some of those strategies we are still using today to reach young people across Allegheny County and encourage them to come to the zone. The students did real, applicable, hands-on work for Auberly that had true impact in the organization. And I think what's really interesting is we don't just put their work up on a shelf and say, thanks for your semester-long project. There are still marketing tools, surveys, HR projects around hiring and retention and leadership development that Gispia students and nonprofit clinic students have developed for us over the years that have truly made impact, not only on Auberly and our programming, but then also our young people, because the individuals that we serve, those 4,000 individuals across southwestern Pennsylvania, they're the ones that we're truly here for. So we are so grateful to the nonprofit clinic for impacting us in that way. I might be biased a little bit about my favorite project, but I work in the Employment Institute at Auberly, so any project that the nonprofit clinic partners with the Employment Institute specifically. And last year, they helped me develop surveys to really determine quality assurance for both our clients as well as the over 200 business partners that we have within the Employment Institute. And this was really impactful because it helped us determine what we were doing well, what we weren't doing well, and how we could move the program forward. And I still use those surveys to this day, and to be able to have the resources of a university to develop those surveys was really useful and impactful. I think what's really neat about the nonprofit clinic is that it exposes students to the world of nonprofits in Pittsburgh, which is such a unique world. And it provides students the opportunity to explore careers. And I was one of those students. I was a participant in the Johnson Institute, the Leadership Portfolio Program, the nonprofit clinic, and I met Auberly through those opportunities. And without the ability to understand Auberly as an organization, serve on the board as a student at Gispia, do a project for Auberly with a nonprofit clinic, I would not be where I am today. So I think those exposure opportunities are really critical for students at Gispia.
The nonprofit clinic is such a perfect example of how we can, as a university and as a School of Public and International Affairs, be engaged with communities. Community engagement is one of the key priorities that we have for a school, and the clinic allows us to live into that in such a significant way. One of the most important aspects of our curriculum as we're preparing future professionals is to give them opportunities to be able to learn with other organizations and work in partnership with communities around important issues. As we think about our role as a graduate school that's preparing future practitioners, one of the most important things that we do is allow students to apply their knowledge and their skills to real-world challenges and problems. One of the most important ways that we do that is through our capstone courses. Capstone courses allow students to work in direct partnership with communities and with organizations outside of the university. It gives them a chance to test their skills, build their networks, and do real work that is important to the organizations that we're serving. I'm really enthusiastic about opportunities for longer-term partnerships, deeper collaboration, and capacity building with the nonprofit sector, with the philanthropic partners that are in the Pittsburgh region. We have so many exciting opportunities to build on the project-focused work of the nonprofit clinic and really look at ways to be able to scale that for significant impacts on the community in the region. At Gispia, we're so proud of the impact that our alums have already had on the nonprofit sector in the Pittsburgh region. What's really exciting is when I look at nonprofit leadership in the Pittsburgh region, I see so many of our Gispia alumni. They're bringing new leadership insights, they're bringing new issues to the table, and they're bringing a true commitment to community engagement. We're excited about how our students are moving into the field and ways they'll continue to build capacity. We're excited to be an active and ready partner for the sector.